Welcome to the Twist Out Cancer podcast, which delves into the emotional journeys of those touched by cancer, offering a platform for survivors, caregivers, previvors, and loved ones to share their experiences. Through intimate conversations, this podcast explores the power of creativity and connection in navigating the challenges of cancer. Guests will discuss the transformative impact of Twist Out Cancer's unique programs and highlight the resilience of the human spirit. We're so happy you're here. Let's get into it.
Hi there, and welcome to Twist Out Cancer's podcast featuring Brushes with Cancer Spotlights. My name is August Spree, my pronouns are she, her, and today we are talking with inspiration Jorge Ginzo and artist Oscar Montoya, both located in Florida. Jorge and Oscar are matched in the Miami Brushes with Cancer 2025 private program in partnership with the Adrienne Arsht Performing Arts Center. We will talk about their involvement with Twist Out Cancer, how they became participants in the program, how their connection is unfolding, and what they hope to carry with them from their experience together. Welcome, Jorge and Oscar. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
How are you?
Hi.
Thanks
I'm
for having
so
us.
excited to talk to you. Yeah. So I know that you were only matched in April, and right now it's the end of May, so it's still pretty fresh for you, but I'm definitely excited to chat about how things are going. Jorge, I'm going to start with you. Can you start by letting me know how you identify within the cancer community and share a little bit about your experience with cancer?
So currently, I'm currently cancer-free after my last surgery. Yeah. So my last surgery was in September. But I was originally diagnosed in 2022. I had zero symptoms. I had nothing to even indicate that I had cancer. What happened for me was my primary doctor had been after me for several years, actually, to get a colonoscopy. I turned 50 and he's like, hey, you need to get a colonoscopy. And so I brushed it off for a while until I finally said, okay, let me just get it done. And I finally got it done. And I was told I had 5 polyps, 4 which were benign, 1 was malignant. And I was told really over the phone, hey, you have colon cancer. And so that's when it started. It was just from there. I can remember exactly where I was when I heard those words. And it's just one of those things that when it hits you, you're like, this is not supposed to happen to me. It's supposed to happen to other people, not me. And then, of course, that's when the journey started. And then it was kind of weird. That wasn't the hard part. The hard part for me was having to tell people over and over, people, my family, my wife, everybody, that I had cancer. So it's just one of those things that to me was probably the hardest part. But anyway, I had gotten colon cancer, and then I gotten in touch with my first surgeon, and she removed the section of colon. I had a partial colectomy with an anastomosis. That means anything to anybody. And then they found that it had spread, not spread, but there was one lymph node that it got to. So I had to do subsequent chemotherapy. And then I was fine for almost 2 years until last year when they noticed that I had a small little thing growing in my lung, and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they went September, removed it, and it turns out that it was my colon cancer had found a new place in my lung. But since then, but they got it really, 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 really early. It's amazing the strides they've made. And so as of now, all of my tests are negative. All my CT scans are negative. Everything's negative. So that's positive. So that's good.
Yeah, good. Well, that's good to hear. And
Yeah.
also, I can definitely relate to that moment. I think I've heard that from almost everybody can relate to hearing those words and there being a before life and then an after. It's sort of this line that is drawn in your life once you hear those words. So I know also in your application for the program, you mentioned being a former firefighter and how common it is to be diagnosed. Do you have others that you served with or worked alongside of who are having similar experience as you?
Yeah. We've had, actually in my department, we had many years ago, but we had a firefighter who died from cancer. And since then, there's been several of us who have come down with cancer, and those that I serve with that have cancer are doing well now. But again, this is one of those things where you hear about it your entire career and you're like, that's someone else. It's never going to be me, ever. And then now it's one of those things where I guess ignorance is bliss. And so since it never happened to me, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine until it happens to you. And then you kind of become an overnight ambassador for preventing cancer, especially in our line of work. There's a very high rate of cancer. And there's multiple theories why, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter to you when you have it. So it's you have it. How
Right.
it happened doesn't even matter anymore. But yeah, it's something that affected me as a firefighter because we were always worried about getting burned or getting a disease or having a roof collapse on you, the more immediate things,
Right.
not cancer. Cancer was like the last thing on my mind.
Yeah, right. I can imagine. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to switch over to Oscar for a minute. Oscar, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to this program, how you found out about, I think you had mentioned it was from TM Pride, which I'm not familiar with.
Well, yes, TM Pry and I we both were selected in 2023, 2024 artists in residence in Pompano Beach.
Okay.
Pompano Beach, they have an art department, and then they have the artist in residence program, which runs from October of the fiscal year to June of the next year. We were the artists in residence from 2023 to 2024, and I met TM Pride there. I I I did a project based on cancer as well.
Hey, I was going to touch on that. Yeah. This is not
Because I am
unfamiliar
a
to you.
cancer survivor too.
Okay. Can you tell
So
us a
I'm
little bit about your
cancer free.
experience? Okay, good.
Yes,
Cancer
of
free all
course.
around for all of us.
Yes, in 2020, when I turned 50, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. It's same as George. They didn't have any symptoms. Everything was normal. I just went for my regular check, and the doctor find my prostate a little enlarged, and then that was in January, and then finally the diagnosis came in August of that year, and I had to have a surgery. It was stage 4. They rushed to remove it, and everything was fine until 2022. My PSA levels started to come back up, and I had to go to radiation at the Cleveland Clinic. And then there, they offered me art therapy. And I always painted, I always liked art. And I talked to my doctor and I asked her, what was the art therapy about? She said, well, we have an artist therapist that teach arts to our patients as part of the healing process. And I said, well, I would like to. So she asked me why I asked that. I said, well, because I like to paint. So she asked me to show her my work, and she goes, well, you can teach it, right? And I said, since the day I got diagnosed, I always use my art for my own therapy. Not knowing anything about therapy, art therapy, or look for it, I always use my art as my healing process. So I said I wanted to do something with that. And she said, well, you don't paint the patients. We did. And at the time I was applying at Pampano for the art in residence program, and you have to submit a project. And so my project was structural resilience, where I did paint cancers of patients, starting with my classmates from the art therapy class from the Cleveland Clinic. And then through that project, that program, I met many incredible people that I painted. I shared some of those paintings with George
Yeah.
last time we met, and their stories. I'm a portrait artist, so it was all about portraits, but not just a person or a photo of someone. I want to paint what they are about, what happened with
Yeah.
them, or what inspires them, or what represents them.
Hmm.
So last year when I was there, I think it was the first year of Brushes with Cancer here in Florida.
At Arsht, yes, last year.
So TM Price partner, he was involved with you in somehow sort. So he came to me and said, I want to introduce you my partner because you might like this program. And we talked about it, but you already had assigned
Right.
the artists and everything. So when this year the call for artists came, he sent it to me, and I just have to apply. I really like
Yeah.
this. I
Oh,
love this, and I want to be part of it. So thank you for selecting me. I'm very
yeah.
excited, and let's see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so we did obviously take a look at your work with your, submission with your application and just incredible. And I really appreciate like what you're mentioning about being a portrait artist, that you're sort of painting the essence. I mean, I think that that's present in a lot of art anyway, but what I really love how you capture, it's not just a straightforward image necessarily. You kind of have to like look into it and see all the layers that you've put into depicting this person and their story. So I'm excited to see what you come up with for sure. Can you talk a little bit about, this is for both of you, how did you start connecting and what has your experience been like so far?
Well, for me, I reached out via WhatsApp and email, and we spoke on the phone briefly, and it was great. And actually, it wasn't a phone; we actually had a video call, and it was great just to meet him because there was a lot about him that made me feel comfortable. That this wasn't just someone who was just randomly picked out of the universe. I mean, there was kind of we kind of shared the same story, and then we finally met in person over a cup of coffee, and we spoke about some ideas. We don't have anything concrete yet, but I think we
No, don't ruin it. I
no,
love the
and
surprise.
and it's really very much a work in progress. I mean, it's really more work for him than me, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was great, and we still have some things to kind of figure out. But he definitely is doing the lion's share of the work, that's for sure. So I'm excited to see what happens. I really am.
What
Yeah,
about for you, Oscar? Yeah.
well, again, me having the experience of that year with cancer survivors, being a cancer survivor myself, I also did art therapist project program where I can be an art therapist practitioner. So I knew how to ask questions, and I feel comfortable asking questions about cancer because I did it for years. I got through that easily. Meeting George was nice because he's open. He's not holding anything back. He talks to me like he knows me for years. So
Uh,
that makes my job very, very easy. So that way I can come up with ideas. The first day that I talked to him via video, I already was thinking about what I can do. I also shared with him that I did want to continue with the project, Structural Resilience, but not only cancer patients. I did want to paint also caregivers, first
my
responders.
gosh.
But
Yes.
he was the first responder. So
Yes.
it's great that I can merge those two.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're thinking of
Amazing.
without spoiling
Yeah.
the project is what we are looking into and thinking of. Honor what he did for many, many years, helping others. And he's a people's person. He likes to help others.
Yeah.
And he's not the one who wants to be helped. And that happens to the most of us. I'm
Yeah.
kind of the same way.
Is this challenging
So
for you then, George, to just be the one sharing your story and sort of being passive?
Yeah, it's weird. People in my business, we're type A personalities. We're not people to sit back and that's kind of part of the. I guess this is an extension of that experience of I have to be the one receiving the help. I have to be the one receiving the expertise. I've always told people I've had never had a problem claiming my ignorance on anything. But it's kind of like that whole thing. Like I'm not the artist, and so for me, it's to communicate that through him is really it's a gift. So
Yeah.
it's kind of nice to do that. Yeah.
Do you think this is helping you process your cancer journey more, or is there anything so far that's come up for you that's like maybe a little unexpected?
Yeah, it is because I think no one can. I don't think I can fully like articulate the entire experience to someone. It's really difficult because there's so many facets to it. It's beyond just the patient, right? So what I liked about it, I share this with Oscar, was that I liked that they included the caregivers because I think a lot of times their story's never told.
Agree.
My wife was she had taken it really hard, with the
Yeah.
cancer thing. It was very difficult for her, and me being having to be the strong one. I mean, I've seen many situations in my career and my life, and now I'm the one that's kind of causing the pain a little bit, by giving the news. And it's my news, and it helped that Oscar has gone through this as well. So it was easily much easier to relate to him. But yeah, I think it helps because it helps tell the story a little better and in different avenues and in different angles and different objectives that I don't think a lot of people really consider.
Yeah. I felt I experienced the same thing. It was really hard for me to tell people because you feel like, how many times can I say I have cancer? Like it's
Yeah.
just you get tired of saying it, and I'm sure Oscar, you might be able to relate as well. Yeah, I found the reason I got involved with this program and why I love what I do is that the use of art to tell the story, it uses the beautiful parts of who you are as a person, the beautiful parts of your experience, because there is beauty in everything. And I don't mean that in any kind of dismissive way. We want to acknowledge the entire journey, but the art in this instance takes a spotlight to what's beautiful. And sometimes we need that, especially when we're stuck in our own stories a little bit. Oscar, do you think that this has helped you process your experience in any way?
100%.
Really?
Yes, since day one, when I started meeting with other cancer survivors, I was able to share my not only their stories, my story. Because every time we talk, I can see things that I thought, like George just mentioned. So it was easier for me to communicate with them and easier to come across the idea of what we wanted to paint. And so every time I met with one person, and I have something that I got from each one of them that helped me to go through my journey and helped me to be more open and or talk to people. Hey, did you test yourself for prostate cancer? With my friends? I'm Latin, so we don't want to be touched by other
Yeah.
men, right? So no, you kidding me? I'd rather die than get a test. I said, no, that's not the point. I was very healthy, no symptoms, but the fact that I was willing to get tested, I find it. We found it. If we never did that, I probably would be dead by now, because it was stage 4 when they found it. That gave me, every time, like I said, every time I met with someone and talk about it, it gave me the courage to talk to others that never done any testing. I was sharing with George last time we met. I have a friend there. I was talking to him. We went to his house in Houston, and he's never done the colonoscopy before, and he doesn't want to do it. And he was behind him, telling me to tell him to do it. Talk to him, talk to him. I said, and so I was telling him how important is getting tested. It is to get tested. So yes, he helped me, and I love to tell the story and talk to people about it, and not be
Yeah.
afraid of sharing what I went through.
It's beautiful. This pairing makes me so happy.
Thank you.
Whenever I'm looking at everyone's names, in the spreadsheet and looking at all the information, it's like, trying to do my best and with all of the information that we collect. So it really makes me happy to see in person, see how your stories overlap and how you're connecting. Of course, no spoilers to what you will create, but I can say that we can't wait to see. We still have a few more months, so I hope that you do spend that time continuing to get to know each other and connecting. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
No, I can tell you that ever since this happened to me, I'm just like Oscar. I've become an ambassador for this, and I pressed everybody within my my voice, within my circle, to get that stupid colonoscopy, that dumb colonoscopy that had I gotten maybe a couple years earlier, probably would have prevented this. And so I almost kind of am a pest about it. Everybody at my job and everybody, that did it, I always said the same thing. Thank you. Thank you for doing it, because it's one less person I have to worry about getting colon cancer. Thank you. And I had one coworker, funny story, she always had an excuse. Well, I couldn't do the prep, or I couldn't make the appointment. And then she finally said, look, I don't have a ride home. I said, you know what? I will drive you to it, and I will pick you up. I will make sure you go. And she finally got the message. She just didn't want to do it. She finally did it, and everything came back clean. And I said, listen, I was going to pester you until you did it. That's just how it was. And it's kind of like my way of saying, you know what, don't go through what I went through. It's not worth it. And yeah, I'm just thankful that I'm a part of this, to be honest with you, because I think anything that we can do collectively, whether through art, whether through spoken word, whether it's anything really, I think is positive. There's positive movement towards, ending this.
Yeah. And creating that awareness. And honestly, like even those of us, my cancer was 21 years ago. Now I had a reoccurrence last summer, but my best friend still gets on me, and she's like there with me at the appointments and things like that too. So I think it's really beneficial. I'll be on everybody else. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, I got to make my appointment, So we all need to like do that and be in community with each other in that way. So I appreciate that very much. Anything else you wanted to add, Oscar?
Yeah, it's just, like what you just said about your own test. I was sharing with George. Also, every time we have to get tested, we get that cold feet. I don't want to go, or
We call it
those 2 or 3
scanxiety.
days waiting for the results. Families asking how the results went. Yes, it is easier to tell others to get the test done. It's hard for us. It's still hard, that's something that I tell my daughter and everybody is that that's something that's always going to be in the back of our heads.
Right.
Always. They're always going to be the scared. They're always any pain that you feel it came back, or but not being afraid of testing is important, and just get it done.
Yeah.
I struggle with it, but I just go and
I know.
get my blood out. I need to
Yeah.
know.
I
I'd rather
know.
know than not knowing, and so that's what I always say to everybody. That's why for me this project is so beautiful, because like you just also said, with art we show the beauty of this process, and there's 100 ways, 1,000 ways to show it, and
Yeah.
everybody will relate to anybody. Everybody will relate with what we are doing now. So
Mhm.
let's see
Yeah.
what we can come up with.
Yeah. I can't wait to celebrate with you in
Exciting.
September. Yeah. I'm very excited. That's like my favorite, I think, aside from match day. And when I get to like send out all the matches, because we have a very small, part-time staff, so we like to celebrate with each other. And I'll be like, I'm sending out the matches. So that's a very always exciting day for me. And then next to that is the day when we do the exhibition and I get to see the work in person, because you'll be sending the piece directly to Arsht Center.
I will
So
I
I
will
won't see it.
take it.
Well, you'll take it there, yeah. So I won't see it until I get there because I'm in Chicago.
Okay.
So that's like a mini Christmas morning or something, when I get to show up and like see all the pieces in person.
Okay.
I'm very excited.
One thing I gotta say, I'm just gonna give you one spoiler. The painting is gonna be a 36 by 48 inch
Size. Okay. That's an okay
size.
spoiler.
At least one,
Okay.
You know the size already.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with both of you. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to the Twist Out Cancer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.